Milwaukee Brewers about ready to kick off a 10-game homestand. They are within range of the Chicago Cubs, who keep on winning. The Brewers, though, 18-10 at home this year. Can they keep this thing going? We'll talk with Doug Russell from 97.3 The Game coming up next. He joins me here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In-game homestand, San Diego coming up on Friday night. Got Atlanta rolling into town next Monday. And then the Braves. You got the Braves, who are trying to get back into this wild card chase. And then next weekend, you got St. Louis coming to town for a 4-game set. So all pretty good teams coming into town. Doug Russell joining us from 97.3 The Game, sports director there. We just did TV the other day, and now we're doing Locked On Brewers. Russ, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for accommodating my golf coverage schedule. We're out here at TPC, Wisconsin for the American Family Insurance Championship, the first day of that. So, yeah, nice day out here.
It is, man. It looks like it, and I appreciate you taking some time today. You know, you and I were talking about the Brewers yesterday. Off the top, 5.5 games behind the Chicago Cubs. They're in the thick of the wild card chase. The $1 million question I always get, Russ, can the Brewers catch the Chicago Cubs?
Can they?
Can they catch the Cubs? The tip for
Yes.
15-16 over. Is that possible?
Yes.
Can the Brewers get to that level?
Yes. Yes, they can. This team every year for the last 6 or 7 years, and more often than not, they've made me look like a fool. So you look at them on paper and you're like, well, how are they doing this? Well, they did it last year with sound fundamental baseball. They did it last year with guys like Christian Yelich bouncing back, the emergence of Jackson Chourio after some early season struggles, and, you know, other role players doing their roles. And if the Brewers, and what we've seen over the last week or so, is that these guys have been playing their roles. Guys like Rhys Hoskins, who you needed a bounce back year from, he's really kind of been that guy that's been steady in the middle of the order all season long, but other guys are starting to pick up the pace. So can they? Yes. Will they? I guess that's the big mystery, right?
Yeah, the Brewers have to get, for sure, 10 games over the 500 mark, likely 20, and they got to keep they got to keep this run going, though. That's the thing, is they got to, on this homestand, they can't go 5-5 on it.
I mean, there's some opportunities here, right? I mean, the opportunities are with the Braves, who are having a little bit of a down season. San Diego's still a good team. St. Louis is ahead of them in the division, but you always play better when you're at home. It's a long homestand. It's the longest homestand of the season. What they've done is they've taken advantage of what's been put in front of them. And I'm not using, as I know that some of you and I kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, well, Bryce Harper didn't play in Philadelphia, so that's why the Brewers won. Well, it's not why they won, but they were able to take advantage of the fact that he wasn't playing. You go into Cincinnati, a team that I think a lot of baseball folks thought was going to be at least somewhat better this year. They haven't turned out to be so far much better this year than they've been in years past, and they won 2 out of 3. So they're taking advantage of the teams that they need to take advantage of. And when you're at home, you got to play a little bit better than 500 ball. So no, I don't think you can go 5-5 on this road trip. But if they do, I don't think it's the end of the season. But yeah, you'd like to get, you know, a 7-3 homestand would be fantastic. 6-4 would be fine. 5-5 isn't the end of the world.
You know, I feel like they're just playing some better baseball. And this is like in the last, obviously, they've won 9 of 10, but they're doing some things out there that they weren't doing earlier in the season. And Doug, you froze there for a second. Hopefully we'll get your video coming up here a little bit. But the Brewers are doing things right now that, they weren't doing earlier in the season. They were moving guys over, playing fundamentally sound baseball, doing all the right things that it takes to win baseball games. And, I think the series against San Diego, the Padres are coming in here 10 games over the 500 mark, and they're really good. They're a good team. And so they're a team that's going to compete for, I believe, a championship. There's no doubt. Russ, we got you back.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Where were we?
Talking about our favorite 9, the Milwaukee Brewers. And the things that have gone right for these guys this year.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing better baseball than they were earlier in the year. They're just playing some sloppy ball. Sloppy, Bryce Terang with a couple of early season uncharacteristic miscues in the field. That doesn't necessarily happen, and it can't happen if the Brewers are going to be a team that is going to be competing in October, or at least trying to compete in October. You've just got to do the sound fundamental things right now that they haven't been doing. I still think that they need to steal a few more bases. That was one of the reasons that they were as successful as they were last year. They were aggressive, they were young, they were scrappy, and you can't just wait back and wait for the 3-run home run like a lot of teams do. And that was all gas, no brakes is what one of the things that I think made the Brewers as successful last year as they were. You'd like to see that continue. We've seen, it's amazing. Sound fundamental baseball for a team that doesn't have a lot of margin for error, and the Brewers don't have any for error, especially with the emergence of the Cubs, and the Cardinals are playing much better baseball than they did last year. So, everything that they hit on last year, they need to continue to do, and that's what we've seen over the last week and a half or so.
Which is tough to replicate. So many things went right for them last year. And you knew there was going to be a little dip off there, but they need to get out. That's what needs to happen. So you're not focusing on the wild card like I am. You're still thinking that they can catch the Cubs, which is
it's too early. It's too early to focus. Why are you focusing on the wild card? It's early June.
I know. I have the feeling that Russ, that the Cubs, they're a good team. I just feel like this might be their year.
Maybe, but the wild card is an opportunity. Right? The wild card is if everything else doesn't go as it's supposed to go, then you have another opportunity to make the playoffs as a wild card team. Nobody should be focused on the wild card in June.
So you're saying that's like
the Brewers certainly shouldn't be.
That's like the second chance. No, I'm not saying I'm giving up on the division. I just think
sounds like it.
No, I'm not giving up total, but I have my doubts whether the Brewers can get 15-20 over the 500 mark. That's my problem, Russ. I don't think
fair. You can have doubts. I think that a healthy skepticism is not a bad thing, but I'm not even thinking you don't even look at the wild card standings this early. You don't even look at the wild card standings until August at the earliest. And it's like I said, we're a long way from thinking about, they've got to start positioning themselves for that. I think there's bigger fishes to fry right now. They've got a lot of big games and a lot of big series still to come.
How about you and I going at it like Trump and Elon?
Well, Donald and Elon, they may need to see they may need to see a counselor. I don't know if that relationship can be salvaged, but that as I said in Anchorman, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did. Back to the Brewers. Jackson Chourio, I get this asked about Jackson Chourio. He's batting 260. He's got the 10, 12 home runs or whatever it is. Oh, you disappointed in Jackson Chourio? I'm like, no, I'm not disappointed in Jackson Chourio. 21 years old. He's had a lot of big moments. I didn't expect him to hit 330 and 45 home runs this year. Let's temper it a little bit with Jackson.
See, I agree with you. And, with Jackson, he's a player who I think is just going to be on an ascension. They signed him to an 8-year contract for a reason. And we saw some of that at the end of last year. I mean, he started off poorly. And, Pat Murphy talked about it. He was on a podcast with Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas last week, and he talked about how bad things started out for Jackson Chourio, not only when the season began, but in spring training. Pat Murphy's looking around saying, really, this is the guy that you signed to this contract? And then he started to flourish. And he's, like you said, for someone as young as he is, for anybody to be soured on him, I think is foolish, doesn't even begin to describe it. I mean, I'm surprised that the Coasts aren't already trying to clamor to get him out of Milwaukee, like they do with every other young superstar that comes through our midst. But yeah, Jackson Chourio, I think he's going to be fine. His defense is improving. It's not perfect yet, but it's improving and will continue to improve. He's got speed to burn, and you see what some baseball scouts are saying when they see a young Ronald Acuna. Now, he's got a long way to go before he's Ronald Acuna, but that's why these guys get paid to evaluate baseball talent. I think the sky's the limit for him. We haven't scratched what we could possibly see from this young man yet, so everybody's just got to take a deep breath and relax. He's going to be fine.
Oh, that is coming. Those the East and West Coast. They're East and West Coast. Man, even this early in it, they're just dying to get him out of Milwaukee. They just do not. They hate it that he's.
That is the lot in life that we signed up for, Chuck Freimund.
I know we did, and I hate it. I'm fighting that war every day. I think the way Yelly's turning things around here.
Yeah, player of the week for the first time since 2019. Went on a home run barrage. He's so important to this lineup. He's so important. We used the term margin of error earlier. The Brewers can't afford to pay multiple guys big money contracts. So the ones that you do pay those big money contracts to, they're the ones that have to produce. And Yelly has been up and down since the injury at the end of the 2019 season. He was wandering around in the weeds for a good year and a half, 2 years, rebounded last year to all-star form, then had the unfortunate injury right after the all-star break. He says he's healthy. He says the back feels good, and the guy can flat out mash. And so it's nice to see him have the resurgence, because when he gets hot, when he goes on these incredible streaks, he can literally carry a team on his back. And we saw that in the end of 2018.
Hang on, Russ. We're going to take our first break here. Chuck Freimund, Doug Russell joining us from 97.3 The Game here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. When we come back, we're going to talk about this pitching rotation, what's going to happen when Brandon Woodruff returns, all that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Trade Coffee, terrific sponsor here of Locked On Brewers. Let's be real. Coffee is just not a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline, the thing that gets you going in the morning. When you're half asleep, you drink yourself some coffee. It is essential, getting the blood flowing for everybody each morning. Why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Whether you're gearing up for back-to-back meetings or whatever you're doing, this is coffee that's crafted just for you. Enter Trade Coffee, the #1 coffee destination in the United States, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or you're a pour-over purist, they've got a roast that you are going to love. And right now, Trade is offering this, a 50% off offer on a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB. Very simple. 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB. Trade, TRADE.com/LockedOnMLB. 50% off your month trial. Find out how great coffee can be for you. Trade, the #1 coffee destination in the United States. Chuck Freimund here, Locked On Brewers. Doug Russell joining us for a couple of more minutes here on Locked On Brewers at the Champions Tour golf event in Madison. Taking some time. He covers the Brewers with me as well. Russ, this pitching staff, Brandon Woodruff keeps having these setbacks and all that. When he is eventually activated on the staff, whose spot is he going to take?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. The way that this pitching staff has gone this year, he'll just take the guy who's injured at the time. I don't know that you got to kick anyone out right now.
Yeah.
Who are you going to kick out? I mean, you've got Quintano, excuse me, when he's healthy, he's been really good. Freddie Peralta at the top of the rotation looks like when he's on, he can be a legitimate ace. Chad Patrick's been great. Quinn Priester has been great. I mean, this is a team that keeps getting these injuries foisted upon them, and yet they continue to survive. So all I'm going to say is that whenever Brandon Woodruff is ready to go, and he's going to remain on the 15-day injured list because of the bruised elbow, and thank goodness it's not anything more serious than that. He doesn't have to be rushed back. When he does come back, I think that's just going to be a boon for the Brewers, but he's been snake bitten over the last 2 seasons, but hopefully this is just nothing more than a minor setback, what happened in Nashville on Wednesday, and he'll be able to rejoin the rotation soon.
What's going to happen is he's going to come back, pitch well. He'll be 2 outings into it, and all the experts out there are going to want to trade him to all these teams. So we're going to put all this time and effort into Brandon Woodruff rehabbing him, and we're going to have to end up trading him. Or people are going to want to have.
I don't know what the market is going to be for him outside of Milwaukee because of the injuries. So I think it's not even, after the season, it will be like a hometown discount type of situation. I think it's going to be more of a wait and see, and he's not going to get a huge contract. That's just not going to happen. The Dodgers or the Yankees, they're not going to be throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at this guy just based on what we've seen over the last 2 years. So I think there's a good opportunity for him, even if he does perform, that he'll return to Milwaukee.
I would think so too. It looked in doubt a couple of winters ago, and then he ended up coming here, and Brewers got some investment in him, and hopefully he will stick around. And first of all, he's got to get healthy and be able to pitch in a major league game. Doug Russell from 97.3 The Game is joining us here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. You know, Trevor McGill took some heat from fans early in the season because he's putting ducks on the pond and all that. Man, we go from one closer to another in this town, and it's just been fantastic.
Yeah, and that's why you and I were on this podcast at the beginning of the season, and we were kind of debating how much the Brewers are going to miss Devin Williams. Want to have that debate now?
How about that? I was fine with it, man. Devin Williams, there's two. I think he's avoided. I think Matt Arnold and Mark Antanasio, and I got to mention Mark because he writes the check. He avoided the Adames thing and this one right here with Williams, who's just been awful in New York.
Yeah, he lost his closer role for a while too, and he only got it back because of an injury. So, I mean, Trevor McGill has been very good. I mean, you look at his WHIP at 1.23. That's fine. You know, would you like to see it a little bit lower for your closer? Sure, but 1.23 isn't awful. So yeah, he's converted almost all of his saves. He's 12 out of 13 or 13 out of 14 when it comes to saves. That's very good. So, you know, the Brewers aren't going to overpay for a closer. They're just not, and nor should they. And they knew what they had with Devin Williams, somebody who is fantastically talented when his mind is right. But we've also seen at times that his mind could kind of wander off into the weeds. And I still think that there was some residual from when he punched the wall a couple of years ago leading into the playoffs, and he was unavailable for the team then. I think that stuck with some folks in the front office, and that's why that decision was made. I didn't have any problem with it when it happened. I didn't think that the Brewers were going to miss him. Thought they would miss Willy Adames. I think they have missed Willy Adames. Willie just hasn't performed yet in San Francisco. What's amazing to me, though, Chuck, is that you look at all of these guys who have career years in Milwaukee and then they go somewhere else and they struggle. You know, be careful what you wish for sometimes. Yes, you get those big money contracts, but I don't know what it is that the Brewers are creating that guys just have their best seasons here. Whatever the formula is, I think that there are probably 29 other clubs that would love to have the Brewers payroll and also have the same amount of success that they've had over the last 15 years.
Even a guy like Wade Miley, who's bounced around the league, he goes there, he has his two best years. And
nobody has anything bad to say about Milwaukee when they leave the Brewers. Nobody.
No. But nobody like K-Rod in 2011 didn't want to get traded here, and he came here and he loved it here.
Yeah, that happens. Wash, rinse, repeat. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, if you can bottle that up and sell it, I think the Brewers, that's how you can meet their payroll every year. They just have this thing that they've created that they've always been very family friendly. Milwaukee, as we all know, is in the summertime especially, is a fantastic town. It doesn't get too hot. You got the lakefront, you got all the festivals, and it's an incredible place for families, and especially young families that are looking for something to do on an off day. And not a lot of cities have what we have in Milwaukee. Do the Brewers have the biggest payroll? Obviously not. Still looking for that World Series? Of course. But the amount of success that they have been able to have is nothing short of incredible in the Mark Antanasio era.
It is, considering the history before 2018, there's 2011, 2008, not a lot of success. So, yeah, we're kind of getting used to going to the postseason here, which is, you know, we can't take for granted, but I kind of want to keep this thing going. I don't want to sink back to, nobody does, back to 98.
Of course not. Of course not. And I don't think they're going to. The bar has been raised. If the Brewers are anything sub 500, I mean, remember how they went, I think 18 out of 20 years by being sub 500 or something like that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but getting to be a 500 baseball team was a big deal for the Brewers back in the mid 2000s. Now it's expected, and it should be expected. I love having the bar raised for this team. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what fans expect. And the fans have responded for a small market team coming out to American Family Field in droves.
So the Brewers try to extend Kerrang and Frelick. We'll get to that. We'll ask Doug real quick about that when we come back with one short final segment after this timeout. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers. This episode brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA playoffs are in full gear. I hope you didn't have OKC on the money line last night. Indiana roar. If you had Indiana, you were living large last night. But hey, FanDuel's got it all going for you. Game-winning shot breakout player. There's never better time to get in all the action on FanDuel. Same game parlays. They got all the live plays. The live betting is amazing, just amazing on FanDuel. It's right there. The live score, what's going on. You could track it. And right now, at FanDuel, it's a perfect time to sign up because head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet, and that $5 bet wins. You're going to win. You're going to get $200 in bonus bets added to your account. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and especially in these NBA games, Major League Baseball as well. The live betting, that's where they get it done really, really well. I mean, in all facets, but they're live betting. That's something that really fascinates me. So get on into it. But again, NBA, there's a team that you like that got down early, like maybe Indiana last night, came roaring back. Live betting comes in on FanDuel. Again, FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. You'll win $200 in bonus bets with FanDuel. All right, DR, before we let you get back to covering the golf, Frelich and Terang, those are two guys, young players, promising players, contributing players, getting better and better. I'm hoping we can lock these two guys up eventually long term.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what the price is going to be, right? I think Terang is probably more important than Frelich just because he plays a higher leverage position at second base. And they're both Gold Glovers. Terang, the platinum glove player in the middle part of your infield. And he's someone who puts the bat on the ball. You'd like to see them lock both of those guys up, but if I have to pick one of the two, it would be Bryce Terang. But Sal Frelick just surprises you every single time, and I don't know that I would have picked him to be a Gold Glove outfielder when last season began, but he surprised I think all of baseball by being such a tremendous plus defender.
His arm too. I don't think that he came in here highly touted with his arm, and he's throwing guys out on.
Yeah, I'd like to see him play some third base just to see what he looks like over there, because that could be an opportunity for him to get some more consistent at bats as well. But
well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, third base. Durbin's over there right now. Do you see, like I do, maybe Terang is long term at shortstop, and they're going to reshuffle things in the infield? Maybe move Durbin to second, and whatever at third.
I think Jesus Made is going to be your long-term shortstop. If I think he's still a couple of years away, but Made is rated right now as the top shortstop prospect in all of minor league baseball. So I think he's your shortstop of the future. When that future begins, I'm not sure. I mean, they brought Jackson Chourio to the major leagues before he turned 20 years old. So Made is right behind him, and I think that if you leave Terang at second base, you're probably going to be better off. Platinum glove second baseman. You've got Made coming through the system right now. That's kind of how I see the.
So why do you think they tinkered with Terang at shortstop in spring training?
Got to see what you've got. It's just spring training. You try a lot of things in spring training. Ted Simmons played third base in spring training once for crying out loud. So I mean, they'll tinker with anything.
You're right. You're right, man. Is that a Harvey Keene thing? I can't remember.
I don't know if it was Harvey, or it might have been. It was either Harvey or Latch. It was near the end of Ted's career. It was before he went. Yeah, it was 83 or 84. It was after the 82 season. But yeah, I was watching a spring training game on Channel 18, and I'm like, what on earth is Ted doing over there at third base? But
forget about that. Yeah,
got to see what you got.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Russ, this homestand here. Before we let you go, got to make some things happen here on this homestand. I'm looking forward to good teams are coming in here.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's some opportunities for the Brewers. You've got the Braves coming in. They're having a little bit of a down year for them. The Padres are a good club. And the Cardinals, you got a 4-game set with them. They're ahead of you in the division. Not by much, but they're ahead of you in the division. They split a doubleheader against the Royals last night. So, again, opportunities here. Are the Cardinals for real? They've been underachieving for the last several years. Are they overachieving, or are they just achieving right now? So, yeah, you want to, especially against teams that you're going to be going up head-to-head against for the rest of the season, you want to do well against them. I would love to see them take 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals. But, again, like I said earlier, they go 5-5 on this homestand. I still don't think the season is over. But, of course, you want to get as many wins as possible.
It's a working weekend for my good friend Doug Russell, longtime colleague as well. And he's covered the Champions Tour. Appreciate you, Russ, for taking some time and get back to the golf. It's a working weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
Doug Russell, 97.3 The Game, the sports director. It's going to do it. By the way, you get our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever down you load your podcast for the number one Brewers podcast on the internet, because you great Brewers fans out there, go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. We'll see you Sunday night with our next episode, and where we recap this opening series with the Padres. Chuck Freimund, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Let's have a great weekend, everybody.